it and you're like, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense, right? You had to have some way to communicate early
Yeah.
on, but
Well, we'll get to that.
yeah.
So
Oh,
think about how much the internet impacts your life.
yeah.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
could you even imagine life without the internet?
No, I
That's
mean,
not what I would do.
this is how we do everything.
Yeah. So let's rewind all the way back to the 1960s.
Imagine okay, back in the day.
Internet. Way back in the day.
No,
Okay, so
I mean,
picture this. Computers were these massive room-sized machines.
Oh yeah, I've seen the pictures.
I can't even imagine trying to,
Huge.
like trying to work with one of those things.
Right.
But even back then, there were some really brilliant minds thinking way ahead of their time, dreaming big.
Yeah, and that's where we encounter this guy, J.C.R. Licklider,
Okay.
who is considered one of the founding fathers of the internet.
Wow.
I know, right? And back in 1962,
Okay.
he envisioned something called an intergalactic computer network.
Intergalactic.
Yeah.
That sounds like a
honestly-
sci-fi movie or something.
Yeah, it sounds very Star Wars-y.
Right.
But what I think is so cool is that even though it sounds kind of wild,
Yeah.
that idea kind of foreshadowed the interconnected world that we live in today.
Right.
So,
I mean, yeah, because now people
yeah.
use the internet like it's nothing to connect across continents all the time.
Yeah, it's really global,
Yeah.
and it's really like instantaneous communication.
So we've got these big ideas, but how do we go from that to an actual physical network?
Well, that's where ARPANET comes in,
Okay.
which stands for the Advanced Research Projects Agency Network.
Wow. Okay.
And it was funded by the U.S. Department of Defense.
The Department of Defense. So the internet
I know, right?
started as like a military project.
Pretty much. It seems kind of strange,
Yeah.
but I mean, when you think about the time period, like the Cold War, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they needed a communication system that could withstand disruptions.
Right.
Something decentralized and resilient.
Yeah, I guess if one part goes down,
Yeah.
you need the rest of it to still be working.
Exactly.
So when was the first time they actually connected computers on this ARPANET?
Well, that happened in 1969.
Okay.
Pretty pivotal year.
Yeah.
They connected 4 universities:
Oh, wow.
UCLA, Stanford Research Institute, UC Santa Barbara, and the University of Utah.
Okay, so like all over the U.S.
Yeah, all over.
And guess what the very first message was?
The very first message, I don't know.
You don't know.
I'm going to guess like, hello world. Is that,
Ooh,
am I close?
you're really close.
Okay.
It was actually login.
Log in. Okay. But there's more to the story.
There's a little funny twist.
Okay.
A system crashed
No.
after they sent the first 2 letters.
Oh, whoa. So they never even got to log in?
No, they did not.
Oh, man, that's hilarious.
It's kind of funny when you think about it. Like, even this groundbreaking moment had some
glitches.
a little bit of a hiccup.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was brand new technology, so.
So we have the network up and running.
Yeah.
It's connecting these universities. What happened next?
Well, one of the most important things that happened was something called packet switching.
Packet switching.
Yeah.
What is that?
So imagine like you're sending a pizza to a friend,
Okay.
but instead of sending the whole pizza at once.
You're slicing it up into individual pieces,
Okay.
and each piece has its own delivery instructions.
Okay, I'm following.
That's basically what packet switching is.
Okay.
It takes data and breaks it down into smaller packets,
Right.
each labeled with its destination and where it fits in the whole.
So instead of sending one big file,
Exactly.
like it's broken up into these little.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And this was huge because it made transferring data much more efficient, because now you can send packets over different routes simultaneously.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, and it also makes it more reliable,
How so?
because if one packet gets lost,
Right.
you don't have to resend the whole thing, just the missing piece.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a backup system.
Pretty much, yeah.
Linked in.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, so this is all thanks to Paul Barron and Donald Davies and Leonard Kleinrock.
Wow.
Quite a team.
Yeah.
And you can see this today in everything you do online, like downloading files, streaming movies. It's
It's everywhere.
it's everywhere. It's the foundation of how we get stuff online.
So ARPANET is growing. We have packet switching, making things efficient and reliable.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next step?
Well, ARPANET continued to expand throughout the 1970s.
Okay.
They connected more universities and research institutions. And get this,
What?
it even went international,
Oh, wow.
reaching Norway and the UK.
So it's not just a U.S. thing anymore.
No, it's going global.
Okay.
It's spreading.
This is really cool.
Yeah, and that's also around the time we see the emergence of email
Email.
as a really groundbreaking application.
It's still huge today.
I know, right?
crazy.
Yeah, and we can thank a guy named Ray Tomlinson for this.
Okay.
He's the one who decided to use the @ symbol
Oh, the at symbol.
to separate usernames from host names.
That little at symbol is everywhere now.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So ARPANET's growing, but I imagine as it grows,
Oh,
it's getting a little messy.
yeah, a little bit.
Different computers, different networks.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag.
How do they all talk to each other?
Well, that's a great question, and that's where one of the most pivotal chapters in internet history comes in.
Okay, I'm ready.
The development of TCP/IP,
Okay.
which stands for...
So there's some big acronyms.
They are big acronyms.
I'm ready for this.
Okay, it stands for Transmission Control Protocol Internet Protocol.
Okay.
And you can think of it like a set of rules.
Right. Yeah.
Like a common language that allows different networks to talk to each other seamlessly.
So it's like the foundation of
Yeah.
the internet that we use today.
Absolutely.
This is what made it possible for all those different networks to come together to form the internet.
Exactly like the glue that holds it all together.
Wow. Okay.
And the key figures here are Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn.
Okay.
They developed it in the late 1970s, and it quickly became recognized as a really powerful tool for connecting all these different networks.
So TCP/IP is like the missing puzzle piece
It is.
that allowed everything to work together.
Absolutely.
So when did it become the standard?
Well, that's a fun story.
Okay, I like fun stories.
January 1st, 1983 became known as Flag Day in the internet world.
Flag Day. Why Flag Day?
Well, because on that day,
Right.
ARPANET officially adopted TCP/IP as its primary protocol.
Okay.
So it was kind of like...
Oh, so it's like
I'm
an
in-
Independence Day.
Yeah, like an Independence Day for the internet.
Exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
It marked a really important step toward the internet that we use today.
It's amazing how much progress happened in such a short amount of time.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
We went from these room-sized computers to...
Mostly used by researchers and academics,
But
but things were starting to change. You know, there were new applications popping up and people were finding exciting new ways to use this network.
so what were some of those early applications? Like, besides email, what were the things that were starting to draw people to the internet?
One of the big things was bulletin board systems.
Bulletin board systems.
Yeah, BBSs.
Okay.
Think of them like online forums where people could connect with others who shared their interests.
So like the ancestors of today's online communities and social media.
Exactly. People could have discussions, share ideas, even play games together online.
So that's where the social aspect of the internet really started to come in.
Yeah, people weren't just sharing data and files anymore. They were connecting with each other, building communities.
I bet those early online communities were still pretty small, though.
They were, but things were about to change big time
How so?
with the arrival of something revolutionary,
Okay, I'm intrigued.
the World Wide Web.
Ah, the World Wide Web now we're talking.
Everybody knows what it is, but not everyone knows how it came to be.
Yeah, fill us in.
Okay, so we can thank this guy, Tim Berners-Lee.
Okay.
In 1989, he was working at CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research,
Okay.
and he had this idea for a system to share information across the internet using something called hypertext links.
Hypertext links. Isn't that what we use to click around websites today?
You got it. Berners-Lee imagined a web of connected documents that anyone could access and navigate easily.
That's brilliant.
And he created the first web browser
Okay.
called World Wide Web, very original.
Makes sense.
Right. And the first web server, and that really set the stage for the explosion of information sharing that we see today.
So this is when the internet went from being this niche thing for researchers to something that anyone could use.
Exactly. It made information accessible to anyone with a computer and an internet connection.
That's huge.
It really democratized access to information in a way that had never been seen before.
I can't imagine the internet just magically appeared overnight, though.
It did. There were a lot of developments that helped it take off.
Like what?
Well, one of the big ones was the development of user-friendly web browsers,
Okay.
like Mosaic, which came out in 1993.
Okay.
Mosaic made it so much easier for people to navigate the web and view things like images and videos.
So this is when the internet started to look more like what we know today.
Yes, exactly. Mosaic paved the way for browsers like Netscape Navigator and eventually Internet Explorer and all the ones we use now.
I remember those days.
Yeah, it was a big moment in making the web accessible to everyone.
So all this new accessibility,
Yeah.
I'm guessing that led to a lot more people using the internet.
Oh, yeah. Throughout the 1990s, we saw a massive increase in the number of people online.
Okay.
And that led to a period of incredible innovation and entrepreneurial energy.
This is when we get the dot-com boom, right?
You got the dot-com boom was this crazy time of investment in internet-based businesses.
I remember it well.
New companies popping up everywhere, promising to change the world.
It was wild. A lot of excitement, but then, of course, the crash.
Yeah, the bubble eventually burst,
Right.
but it left a lasting impact. It showed just how powerful the internet could be for commerce, communication, creativity.
It also laid the groundwork for the tech giants we know today.
That's right. Companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, they all have their roots in that era.
That's amazing to think about.
The dot-com boom really accelerated the development of the internet, even though a lot of companies didn't make it.
It's fascinating to see how that period of intense growth and experimentation set the stage for the internet we use today.
We've come a long way from those early visions of interconnected computers.
But the story doesn't end there.
Oh.
In fact, things get even more interesting in the 21st century.
Oh yeah, buckle up for that.
Yeah, we'll dive into that in the final part of our deep dive. And we're back for the final part of our deep dives into the history of the internet. We've talked about those early visions of interconnected computers, the birth of ARPANET, the rise of the World Wide Web, and of course that crazy dot-com boom.
It's been quite a journey.
It has been, hasn't it? But as we know, the story doesn't end there. In fact, I think things get even more interesting in the 21st century.
Oh, absolutely. The 21st century is where the internet really becomes deeply embedded in our lives. I mean, just think about it. It's almost impossible to imagine life without it now.
It's true. I mean, we use it for everything. Communication, shopping, entertainment, news work, the list goes on and on. Where do we even begin to unpack all of that?
Well, I think one of the most significant developments has to be the rise of social media.
Social media. It's hard to imagine life before Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of those platforms. They've completely changed how we connect with each other and how we consume information.
It's amazing to think that just a few decades ago, none of that existed.
Right? It's like those early online communities we talked about, those bulletin board systems.
Yeah, the BBSs.
They seem almost quaint now
Yeah.
compared to the massive social media platforms we have today.
I know, right? But those BBSs were the early seeds. They showed that people wanted to connect with each other online, and social media took that concept and just blew it up to a global scale, connecting billions of people.
It's incredible. On the one hand, it's created these amazing opportunities for people to connect, share ideas, express themselves, get involved in activism, but it's also brought about new challenges, things like privacy concerns, misinformation, even potential impacts on mental health. It's a lot to grapple with.
It's a double-edged sword, for sure. There are both incredible benefits and serious risks that come with social media. It's something we're still trying to figure out as a society.
And another massive shift has been the rise of mobile internet. I mean, just look at how much we rely on our smartphones now. It's almost like an extension of ourselves at this point.
It really is the ability to access the internet from anywhere at any time has been transformative. It's made information and communication instant, and it's blurred the lines between our online and offline lives.
And it's created a whole new set of industries and ways of doing business.
Yeah.
I mean, think about app development, ride-sharing services, online food delivery. All of that was made possible by the widespread adoption of smartphones.
Exactly. The mobile revolution has been a driving force of innovation and economic growth, impacting almost every aspect of our lives, from how we consume news and entertainment, to how we shop, to how we navigate the world around us.
And then there's the cloud, which has revolutionized how we store and access data.
Oh yeah, cloud computing has been a game changer, making it possible to collaborate and work remotely in ways we could only dream of before.
Right. And it's enabled so many things that we take for granted now, like streaming services, online gaming, and the advancements we're seeing in artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. The cloud has become the backbone of the modern internet. But of course, with all these advancements come new questions about data security and privacy, which are crucial to address.
It seems like the internet is constantly evolving, always one step ahead. So what do you think the future holds for this incredible technology?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's hard to predict with certainty, but I think we can expect to see continued advancements in areas like artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and the Internet of Things.
It's mind-boggling to think about all the possibilities. It sounds like the line between the physical and digital worlds is going to become even more blurred.
I think so. We might see a future where our devices are seamlessly integrated into our environments, anticipating our needs and providing information and services in real time, which is both exciting and a little bit unnerving to think about.
For sure, it raises some important ethical and societal questions that we need to consider carefully. But regardless of what the future holds, one thing seems certain: the internet will continue to be a powerful force for change, shaping our lives in ways we can only imagine.
Absolutely. It's a tool with incredible potential to connect us, empower us, and help us solve some of the world's biggest problems. But it also has the potential to be misused and abused. So it's really up to us to shape its future and make sure it's used for good.
That's such an important point to remember. The internet isn't just technology. It's a reflection of us, our values, and our choices.
I completely agree. And staying informed, engaged, and critical about the role the internet plays in our lives is more important now than ever before.
Well said.
Huh.
I think our deep dive today has given our listeners a lot to think about. From those early visions of interconnected computers to the complex, interconnected world we live in today, the story of the internet is truly remarkable, and it's a story that's still being written.
That's what makes it so fascinating, right? The possibilities are endless.
Exactly. Who knows what amazing discoveries await us just around the corner. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey through internet history. And remember, stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop learning.
And keep questioning.
The internet is vast, ever evolving, and full of surprises. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
All right, so we're back, ready for part 2 of our internet deep dive.
Definitely.
Last time, remember, we kind of set the scene, like all those early building blocks that made the internet, possible at all.
Yeah.
But now, things are about to get a lot more interesting.
No, yeah. Now we're talking the World Wide Web.
Right. The thing that really changed everything, right?
Absolutely. It's 1989, and this guy, Tim Berners-Lee, super smart, working at CERN,
Okay.
has this vision, right? He sees, like, beyond just computers talking to each other. He's thinking about, like, information just flowing freely. Anyone, anywhere can access it.
Wow. I mean, can you imagine, like, back then, how revolutionary that idea must seem?
Oh, totally. I
Well-
mean, today it's just, like, how we live, right?
Yeah.
We take it for granted.
Totally.
But back then,
Yeah.
internet was, like, this niche thing. Mostly academics, techie people, you know?
Oh, right. So how did he, like, actually make it happen? What were the, like, key ingredients to this whole World Wide Web thing?
Okay, so he brings together three things, three big pieces: HTML, HTTP, and URLs.
Okay. Break that down for me.
Right. So HTML, that's like the language of web pages.
Yeah.
Gives them structure, tells your browser, what to show and how to show it.
Okay.
HTTP, that's like the delivery guy, right?
Yeah.
It's the protocol that makes sure information gets where it needs to go.
Makes sense.
And then URLs, the addresses, what you type in to find a specific website. It's how we navigate this whole thing.
So it's like he created this whole new language for the internet.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it was a language, I remember trying to learn HTML back in high school, building my first, like, super basic website.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy to think how, like, everyone uses it now. It's everywhere.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And that was just the start. Like 1991, the first website goes live. It was super basic, just text, but
Yeah.
huge step.
Wow.
Then 1993, the Mosaic browser. This is when things get visual, pictures, clickable links. Suddenly, the internet's not just this like wall of text,
Yeah.
way more user-friendly.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So that's what, like, really opened it up to everyone, right? Made it fun.
Totally. It's like going from black and white to color.
Yeah.
And everyone wants a piece of it.
Okay, so that brings us to .com. Boom, right?
Oh, yeah. The internet is going mainstream. It's not just for academics anymore. It's the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
Digital gold rush.
The 90s, everyone's getting online, investors throwing money at anything with a .com at the end of it.
Exactly.
Remember pets.com?
Oh, yeah, but pet supplies delivered to your door.
It seems so futuristic, but
A lot of those companies, well, they weren't built to last. Burning through cash, focused on growing super fast, but not on like actually making a sustainable business.
yeah, it's like everyone got caught up in the hype, right?
Yeah,
But some companies, they actually made it, right? They survived and they thrived.
absolutely. Companies like Amazon, eBay, Yahoo, they like really changed the game.
So what made them different? What did they do that those other companies didn't?
Adaptability, resilience, I think. They weren't just chasing trends. They were like actually solving problems, meeting real needs.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's like life in general, isn't it? Getting swept up in something that seems like huge, but then poof, it's gone.
It happens, yeah.
But the internet itself didn't disappear. It kept growing even after the .com bubble, went bust.
Right. Because the thing is, the core idea, connecting people, sharing information, that never went away. That's powerful.
Totally. But now with everyone online, this huge amount of information,
Yeah.
how do you even find anything?
That's where search engines come in.
Oh, yeah. Remember those early ones? Archie, Alta Vista. I felt
Yeah.
so cool using those. But looking back,
They're pretty basic, huh?
yeah, compared to what we have now.
Oh, for sure. But they were the pioneers, right?
Yeah.
They paved the way.
So what changed? What made things better?
Well, 1998, Google shows up.
Yeah.
And they have this like totally different approach. It's called PageRank, an algorithm. Basically, it looks at how websites link to each other to figure out which ones are the most important, most relevant.
So it's not just about keywords anymore. It's about, like, the quality of the information.
Exactly. And that's a game changer.
It is. I mean, Google's not just a search engine anymore. It's how we navigate everything.
Oh, yeah. News, research, recipes, whatever you need.
Right. Like, what would we do without it?
I don't even want to think about it.
Okay, so we've got this internet that's, like, constantly growing, getting more commercial, and now we have a way to actually find stuff. But something else is happening around this time too, right?
Yeah.
Something that changes how we connect with each other. Social media.
Oh, yeah. Early 2000s, platforms like Friendster and MySpace pop up.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly there's this whole new way to like interact, build communities, share your life with people.
Oh, I remember those days. Like, making your MySpace profile. That was an art form.
It was, wasn't it?
And those Friendster testimonials.
Oh, yeah. Everyone wanted the best ones.
It was a whole thing.
And, looking back, those platforms, they really set the stage for what social media is today, right?
Mm-hmm.
How we communicate, how we get our news, how we present ourselves online. It all kind of started there.
I mean, it's crazy, right? Like, we went from agonizing over our MySpace profiles to, like, sharing everything online without even thinking about it.
Right. It's like second nature now.
Totally. But there was still this one big limitation.
Yeah.
We were still chained to our desktops,
Mhm.
but things were about to change big time.
Oh, yeah. The mobile revolution was coming.
And nothing, like, kicked that off more than,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
iPhone, right?
Absolutely. 2007, that was huge.
I mean, it wasn't just a phone. It was, like, a mini computer in your pocket.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
suddenly you had the whole internet right there with you wherever you went.
Crazy, right? I remember back then it seemed like straight out of science fiction.
I know.
And now? Well, now we can't live without them.
Nope. Email, maps, shopping, controlling your house.
I know, right? It's amazing. But it's also, like, we don't even think about it anymore. It's just there.
Totally. It's become like part of us almost.
But it's not just about, like, us, right? This whole mobile thing, it changed everything, like, entire industries.
Oh, yeah.
Which, like, think about e-commerce. Amazon, Alibaba, all those giants,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be what they are without mobile.
Nope. Shopping from anywhere, anytime. It's totally changed the game.
And then, like, streaming services, Netflix, Spotify.
Yeah.
That's huge too, right?
Oh, yeah. Totally revolutionized how we like listen to music and watch movies and stuff.
It's wild. Like, I remember when streaming was this new thing, and you'd have to wait for videos to buffer.
Oh, yeah, forever.
And now it's like I mean, the technology's gotten so good so fast.
It really has.
But all this stuff we do online, all this data flying around, it wouldn't be possible without, without something else that was happening behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, you're talking about cloud computing.
Right. What is that exactly?
Okay, so basically it's like, imagine like a giant digital warehouse.
Okay.
And all this data, all these platforms are all stored there. And all the processing power, all the heavy lifting, it happens in the cloud.
So it's like the infrastructure that makes all this other stuff possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's what allows these like massive online services to work, to scale up, and to reach, people all over the world.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. All this complexity, all this data, and it just works.
I know, right?
But it's not just about what we have now, right? It's about where we're going, what the internet will be like, 10, 20 years from now.
Right. And that's where things get really interesting.
Because there are all these, like, new technologies that are starting to, like, emerge, and, well, who knows what they'll lead to.
Yeah, like artificial intelligence, blockchain, the Internet of Things.
Right. Those are the big ones I keep hearing about. But it's hard to know, like, what they actually mean for, everyday people.
Yeah, it's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
But I think, like, the potential is huge.
Okay, so let's take these one at a time. Starting with artificial intelligence. Everyone's talking about AI. But what does it actually, like, do? How does it impact the internet?
So at its core, right,
Mhm.
AI is about making computers do things that normally only humans can do.
Okay.
Thinking, learning, solving problems, making decisions, that kind of stuff. And it's already happening like all over the internet.
Oh, yeah. Like, well,
Think about Netflix, right? How it recommends shows you might like. That's AI.
Huh. I never thought about it like that.
Or those, like, chatbots you see on websites.
Yeah.
Often that's AI, too.
Makes sense.
And, of course, voice assistants, like Siri, Alexa, all powered by AI.
So it's like AI is making the internet more like intuitive,
Yeah,
personalized.
exactly. And more efficient.
Okay, so that's AI. What about blockchain? I always hear that word, but honestly, I'm a little fuzzy on what it actually is. I know it's connected to like cryptocurrencies and stuff.
Right. So blockchain, the simplest way to think about it is like a really, really secure digital ledger.
Okay, a ledger.
Yeah, like a record of transactions. But instead of being kept in one place, it's distributed across a bunch of computers, a whole network.
Oh, okay.
And every time something new gets added, it's verified by everyone on the network.
So like super secure.
Super secure
Mm,
and transparent
yeah.
because everyone has a copy of the ledger, everyone can see what's going on, nobody can cheat the system.
So yeah, that makes sense for cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. But you're saying blockchain has like way more potential than that.
Oh yeah, way more. Think about online voting, right? Making sure elections are secure and fair,
Right, right.
or digital identities,
Yeah.
a way to prove who you are online without worrying about identity theft.
That would be huge.
And even like supply chains,
Yeah.
tracking products from like the factory all the way to your door, making sure everything's ethical and sustainable.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about money. It's about trust, about building systems that are like fundamentally more reliable. All right, that's blockchain. What about this Internet of Things thing? What's that all about?
Okay, so the Internet of Things, or IoT,
Yeah.
it's the idea that everyday objects like your fridge, your car, your thermostat,
Okay.
they can all be connected to the internet.
So like my smart fridge ordering groceries for me when I'm running low, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Or your thermostat adjusting the temperature
Mm.
based on your schedule.
It's like everything's talking to everything else.
Yeah. And the idea is it makes our lives easier, more efficient, more comfortable.
But also kind of creepy, right?
Well, yeah, there's that too. Like how much data is being collected, who has access to it.
Yeah.
Those are real concerns.
Totally. It's like convenience versus privacy.
Exactly. We got to find the right balance.
Okay, so we've got AI, blockchain, IoT, all these incredible technologies, all this potential, but also a lot of questions, right?
Oh, yeah. Big questions. Like how do we make sure these technologies are used for good? How do we protect people's privacy? How do we keep things secure?
It feels like we're like at this crucial moment, you know, where the internet could go in so many different directions.
Absolutely. It's both exciting and a little scary, I guess.
Yeah, totally. But like we have to be optimistic.
I think so. I mean, the internet has already done so much good.
Right. Connected people, spread information, given us tools to like create and learn and build communities.
Exactly. And I think as long as we're aware of the risks, as long as we're having these conversations,
Yeah.
we could make sure the internet continues to be a force for good.
So we're back wrapping up our internet deep dive. And, you know, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it? We've seen how far the internet has come, all the amazing things it's made possible.
Yeah.
But like you said before, there's another side to all this, right?
Right. There are like these shadows, these challenges that come with any powerful technology, I guess.
Mhm. Exactly. And I think, you know, in this last part of our conversation, it's important to like shine a light on those shadows, to really talk about the potential downsides, the things that, that worry us about the future of the internet.
Yeah. I mean, the internet can be this incredible force for good, right?
Yeah.
Connecting people, sharing knowledge, fostering creativity.
Totally.
But it can also be used in ways that are, well, harmful,
Yeah.
even destructive. And I think it's crucial that we like acknowledge that. We can't just ignore those darker aspects.
Okay, so let's talk about those darker aspects then.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that like really concern you when you think about the future of the internet? What are those like potential pitfalls that that we need to be aware of?
Okay, so I think one of the biggest challenges we face, and this is something we're already seeing, right, is misinformation, disinformation.
Right, fake news, all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The internet, especially social media, it's become this like breeding ground for false or misleading information.
Mm.
And the thing is, this stuff spreads so fast, like wildfire.
It's crazy. I mean, I feel like every time I like scroll through my feed, it's like a minefield out there.
Yeah, and it has real consequences. You
Yeah.
know, it erodes trust, it fuels division, it can even influence like elections.
It's scary, honestly, because sometimes it's so hard to tell what's real and what's not.
That's the thing. It creates this climate of uncertainty where people just,
Hmm.
they don't know what to believe anymore. And that makes it really hard to like have productive conversations to solve problems together.
So what can we do about it? I mean, how do we like fight misinformation without, limiting free speech? It seems like a really tricky balance.
It is tricky. I think it's a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah.
We need to like educate people, help them develop those critical thinking skills, so they can evaluate information for themselves.
Media literacy, that's what they call it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think we also need to hold those social media platforms accountable. They need to be doing more to identify and flag false information.
Yeah, I mean, it can't just be on us as individuals, right? The platforms have a role to play too.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's like one big challenge. Another one, and this is huge, is cybersecurity.
Right. I mean, our lives are basically online now. So, yeah, that makes sense.
And the more connected we are, the more vulnerable we become to cyber attacks.
Yeah, we hear about it all the time, right? Data breaches, hacking, ransomware.
It's happening constantly.
Yeah.
And these attacks, they can be so damaging.
Hmm.
Stealing personal information, disrupting businesses, even targeting like critical infrastructure.
Oh, yeah, like the power grid or
Wh-
hospitals.
Exactly. It's scary stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
stakes are just getting higher and higher. So we need to be investing in like really robust cybersecurity measures,
Makes sense.
but also like education is a big part of it. Making sure people understand the risks and how to protect themselves.
Right, because like a lot of it is like phishing scams and stuff, right? Where people like click on bad links without realizing it.
Exactly. So yeah, awareness is key.
Okay, so we've got misinformation, we've got cybersecurity. Anything else? Anything else keeping you up at night when you think about the
Oh
internet?
yeah, one more thing. And this is it's kind of connected to what we were talking about before, privacy.
Right. I mean, with all these devices, all this data.
It's a huge concern.
Yeah.
And it's not just about like those smart devices in your home.
Yeah, it's everything, right?
It's everything.
Yeah.
Social media, search engines, websites.
Hmm.
They're all collecting data about us.
Right.
What we click on, what we search for, where we go.
It's like they're building this like digital profile of us, a shadow that follows us everywhere online.
Yeah, exactly. And that data, it can be used in so many ways. Targeted advertising, for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but also, it can be sold to third parties. It can be used to manipulate us, to influence our decisions.
Yeah, it's creepy. And the thing is, like, a lot of this stuff happens without us even knowing about it.
Right. There's a real lack of transparency.
So it's like we need better laws, right, to protect our privacy, to give us more control over our data.
Absolutely. We need to be having serious conversations about how to balance, the benefits of all this technology with the right to privacy.
Okay, so this is a lot, right? Misinformation, cybersecurity, privacy. It feels like we're facing some pretty serious challenges when it comes to the future of the internet. It can be, like, kind of overwhelming, to be honest.
Yeah, I get it. It's a lot to process.
So, like, what do we do? Where do we even start?
Well, I think the first step is just like acknowledging these challenges,
Yeah.
talking about them, raising awareness. Because if we're not aware of the problems, we can't fix them, right?
Right, right.
And I think, it's easy to get cynical to feel like, oh, it's all too big. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah, I feel that sometimes.
But I think we have to be optimistic. We have to believe that a better internet is possible.
Yeah, like we created this thing, right? So we can change it.
Exactly. And that starts with like each of us taking responsibility. Being mindful of what we share online, thinking critically about the information we consume,
Yeah.
taking steps to protect our privacy.
Right. It's like individual actions can make a difference.
They can. And I think, collectively, if enough of us start demanding change, pushing for better policies, supporting organizations that are fighting for a better internet,
Yeah.
then I think we can actually make a difference.
Wow. Okay, this has been, I mean, this deep dive has been really eye-opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Is
mean,
it?
we started out like celebrating all the amazing things the internet has done, and now we're like talking about all these huge challenges.
A lot, I know.
But it's been like really important, I think, to like grapple with both sides of it.
I think so too, because
Yeah.
the internet is this like incredibly powerful tool, right?
Yeah.
And it's up to us, all of us, to decide how we use it, to shape its future.
That's a powerful thought. So thank you. Thank you for taking us on this journey.
It's been my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the internet. We've covered a lot of ground, but this is just the beginning, right? This conversation needs to continue. We need to keep learning, keep questioning, keep pushing for a better internet. So, yeah, thanks for being part of it.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, for the final part of our deep dive into, well, the internet.
The internet, yeah.
You know, we started way back when with the origins of this whole thing and
Right.
then all the tech behind it.
Uh-huh.
We saw the web grow up right in front of us.
Yeah,
Then we had the whole mobile revolution, which,
Mhm.
I mean, talk about changing everything.
absolutely.
But for this final dive,
Okay.
we're going to kind of step back a bit, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
We're not going to get too much into the nuts and bolts this time.
Okay, yeah.
Instead, we're going to look at the impact the internet has had
I see.
on society.
Yeah.
Like what's changed because of the internet.
Right.
Good and bad, the whole picture.
That's a big topic.
Oh, it's a huge topic.
Yeah.
And then we'll even look ahead,
Oh,
see
interesting.
what might be coming down the road.
The future of the internet.
The future, exactly.
Yeah.
So to kick things off,
Yeah.
let's just acknowledge the elephant in the room.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I mean, the internet has completely flipped our lives upside down.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And at a speed and scale that's just never been seen before.
Never, yeah. It's like a blink of an eye,
Yeah.
historically speaking.
Yeah, it really is. I mean,
Like if you think about it,
yeah.
learning used to happen in a classroom
Mm-hmm.
with a teacher and some textbooks.
Right.
Now, we've got platforms like Khan Academy
Yeah.
reaching millions instantly online.
Just incredible.
It's amazing.
It is.
And then there's how we have fun,
Okay, yeah.
entertainment, right?
Right.
It used to be so passive.
Mm.
We just sit there and watch TV.
Yeah, watch TV, listen to the radio.
Now it's all about creating.
Yeah, you're right.
YouTube, TikTok, Twitch. I mean, are you on any of those platforms?
Oh, yeah, I dabble.
Yeah, it's like everyone's a content creator now.
And that's where this whole attention economy comes into play.
The attention economy.
Yeah, like our time and engagement, they're the real currency online now.
Oh,
Everyone's fighting for our eyeballs.
so it's not all fun and games, huh?
No, definitely not.
There's a darker side to this whole thing.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think the biggest concerns revolve around privacy.
Privacy,
Yeah, all those data breaches.
right? Like that Cambridge Analytica scandal
Oh, that was huge.
and how that even impacted elections.
Exactly. It's a big problem.
And it's not just our data, right?
No.
I worry about the mental health effects too.
Ooh, yeah, especially for younger people.
It's like, have you seen how addictive social media can be?
It's really something.
And this pressure to look perfect online.
Oh, it's constant.
It's scary, really.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is evolving so fast.
It's like a runaway train.
It really is. And honestly, I'm not sure our laws can keep up.
The regulations?
Yeah, the whole ethical side of things is a minefield.
Yeah. So what do we do?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to
Go keep digging.
keep digging, yeah. We've got to start somewhere. Yeah, for sure.
And I think privacy is as good a place as any.
Right?
It's like every time we go online,
Mm-hmm.
we're leaving these little digital footprints.
Footprints, yeah.
Every search we do, every purchase.
And all the location data.
Oh, yeah.
Like our phones are constantly broadcasting where we are.
It's kind of freaky when you think about it.
It is. It's like someone's always watching.
And it's not just companies who want that data.
No, you're right.
Governments are getting in on it too.
Surveillance. Yeah.
All in the name of security, of course.
Right. Security.
Remember that whole Snowden thing a few years back?
Yeah, that was a big deal.
It really exposed how much data they're collecting.
And we're still figuring out what it all means.
Exactly. Like, where do we draw the line?
Between privacy and security.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
And while we're trying to figure that out,
Uh-huh.
the technology just keeps marching on.
Oh, it never stops.
So let's talk about the future.
The future of the internet.
Yeah, what's coming next?
Well, one thing that's got everyone buzzing is 5G.
5G, right?
And it's not just about faster downloads.
No.
This is about connecting everything.
Everything.
I'm talking your fridge, your car, the traffic lights.
That sounds like a sci-fi movie.
It kind of does, right?
But how is that even possible?
It's a massive undertaking for sure.
Yeah, like wouldn't we need a ton of new infrastructure?
We would, and there are definitely security concerns.
Yeah, if everything's connected, that's a lot of potential targets.
But the possibilities are just incredible.
Okay, like what?
Think about self-driving cars.
Self-driving cars. Okay.
Talking to each other to prevent accidents.
Wow.
Smart cities that manage traffic and energy use.
Oh, that's interesting.
Even remote surgery done by robots.
Robots doing surgery. That's wild.
It's all on the table with 5G.
So it's not just about faster internet on our phones.
It's about transforming the world as we know it.
That's a big claim.
And then there's AI.
Artificial intelligence.
It's already everywhere, right?
Yeah, it's like Netflix knows what I want to watch before I do.
And Siri's always listening.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like she knows me better than I know myself.
AI's got the potential to do some amazing things.
Like what?
Automating jobs, personalizing experiences,
Okay.
solving problems that are too complex for humans,
Complex problems.
like curing diseases, modeling climate change.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
No, not at all.
But what about the robots taking over?
I think we're a ways off from that.
You
But
hope.
seriously, it's something we need to be mindful of.
Responsible development, ethical considerations.
Exactly. We can't just let the tech companies run wild.
It's got to be a conversation we have as a society.
Absolutely.
Now, onto something a little more out there.
Oh, okay. I like where this is going.
The metaverse.
Ah, the metaverse.
Is it all hype?
I think there's definitely some hype,
Yeah.
but at its core, it's about blurring the lines
Between what?
between the real world and the virtual world.
Oh, I see.
Imagine going to a concert with friends who are miles away.
Oh, like a virtual concert.
Yeah, or exploring ancient ruins from your couch.
And trying on clothes without leaving the house.
Exactly. It's all about immersive experiences.
Well, won't that make us even more isolated?
It's a valid concern,
Mhm.
for sure.
Like, I already spend too much time looking at screens.
It's all about finding the right balance.
Right, not letting the virtual replace the real.
It should be a complement, not a substitute.
That makes sense.
I think that's the key with all this new technology.
What do you mean?
It's not about being afraid of progress.
Okay.
It's about being aware of the potential impacts
Well, good and bad.
and making sure technology serves us.
Not the other way around.
Exactly.
So we've talked about 5G, AI, the metaverse.
Big topics.
But there's another piece of the puzzle.
Oh, yeah.
What about the environmental impact?
That's a big one.
All these devices, all this data,
It takes a lot of energy to keep the internet running.
and that energy often comes from fossil fuels.
So we need to think about sustainability,
More efficient data centers,
renewable energy sources.
sustainable design principles.
The whole tech industry needs to step up.
It's a complex issue.
It is, but it's one we can't ignore.
So as we wrap up this part of our dive,
Yeah,
it seems like we're at a crossroads.
we are. Yeah.
The internet has the potential to do so much good,
To connect us, to empower us,
but it also comes with risks.
risks we need to address head on.
So what does all this mean for the listener?
Why should they care?
We've talked about everything from like how social media changes our relationships
Yeah.
to how 5G and the metaverse could reshape, well, like everything.
Pretty much.
And it's clear, right? The internet is this massive force
It is, yeah.
with, huge potential for both good and bad.
Definitely a double-edged sword.
But the thing is,
Yeah.
we're not just along for the ride, are we?
No, not at all.
We actually have a say in how this all unfolds.
We do. We have the power to shape the internet's future.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, I think the first step is being informed.
Informed, okay.
Stay curious, ask questions.
Don't just take things at face value.
Exactly. The internet's always changing.
So we need to keep up.
And make sure our voices are heard.
So like staying up to date on all the latest stuff
Yeah, and understanding how new technologies might impact us.
and not shying away from those tough ethical questions.
Exactly. Those are important conversations to have.
And maybe even supporting organizations that are,
Yeah,
fighting for digital rights, privacy, that kind of thing.
absolutely. And pushing for responsible AI development.
Holding these tech companies accountable.
Making sure they're prioritizing sustainability.
Social responsibility, all of that.
It all matters.
But it's not just about the big picture, right?
No, it's also about our own individual choices.
Like, what do we do online?
The apps we use, the information we consume.
How much time we spend staring at our screens?
It's easy to get caught up in it all.
Oh, for sure. It's so addictive.
But we gotta ask ourselves, are our digital habits serving us?
Or are they controlling us?
Are they aligned with our values?
Are they making the world a better place?
Those are the questions we need to ask.
So it's not about, like, throwing away our phones and computers.
No, it's about using them consciously,
Critically,
engaging with technology in a responsible way.
the internet has this incredible potential, right?
It really does.
To bring us together, to solve problems.
But we have to make sure it's used for good.
And that's on us.
It's on all of us.
Well, this has been quite a journey, huh?
It has, yeah.
From those early days of, like, dial-up modems and clunky websites.
To this vast interconnected world we have now.
We've seen the challenges, the opportunities,
And hopefully, we've given everyone some food for thought.
about how to be a responsible digital citizen.
Because ultimately, the future of the internet,
Yeah.
it's not set in stone. It's something we're all creating together.
One click, one decision at a time.
Yeah.
I love that.
So keep asking those questions. Keep learning.
And keep shaping the internet into the force for good it can be. That's a fantastic point to end on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive
It's been a pleasure.
into the ever-changing world of the internet.
Until next time,
Stay curious, stay connected.
and stay responsible.
We'll see you all next time.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to wrap up our deep dive into the internet.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
It is wild.
We've gone from
Right now.
dial up to like where we are today.
Yeah.
But this last part isn't about the past.
Right.
It's about now and what's next.
That's
It's about how the internet is changing our world and what that means for you.
Yeah. How is it shaping the world today?
Right.
And what does that mean for us tomorrow? That's the big question.
I think that's a great place to start because
Yeah.
the internet is not just a tool anymore. It's kind of like this environment.
Oh, it's totally the environment we live in,
We live in
digitally speaking.
digitally speaking.
Yeah. And that impacts everything from
Yeah.
how we earn a living to how we build relationships.
So true.
Everything.
Okay, so I was reading that more than half of global trade now happens because of the internet.
Yeah.
Things like e-commerce, is that accurate?
Yeah, it's a massive factor. I mean, when you think about platforms like Amazon and Alibaba, they connect buyers and sellers literally across continents.
It's really a global
Marketplace.
marketplace.
And that just wouldn't be possible without the internet.
I was thinking about that the other day.
Yeah.
I ordered some spices
Uh-huh.
from a small farm in India.
Wow.
And like a few years ago, that would have been so difficult to do.
Yeah.
But now it's like I have a global market at my fingertips.
Exactly. And, it's not even just like physical goods either.
Oh, right.
We have these digital payment systems.
Okay.
Like PayPal.
Yeah.
Those are crucial for
Yeah.
making all this work.
Yeah.
I mean, international transactions are easier and faster than ever
We know.
because of these platforms.
It's a lot to keep up with, especially when you think about
It is.
how much has changed in just the last few years.
Absolutely.
Like 5 years.
Right?
So
yeah.
I'm constantly hearing about new music or new trends that are popping up from different countries.
Yeah.
How is this speed of connection affecting our culture?
Well, you're right. The internet is definitely like speeding up cultural exchange.
Wow.
Think about social media and streaming services.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
exposing us to music and art
that's true.
from all over the globe.
Yeah, I discovered this amazing band from Iceland.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Just through a friend's playlist online.
Huh.
And like without the internet, I probably would have never even heard of them.
Exactly. And then on top of all that, we have the rise of remote work,
Right.
which is further blurring those lines
For sure.
between our work and personal lives.
So many people are working from home now, or even for companies that are
Right.
in different countries.
All over the place.
What do you think this means for the future of work?
That's a really complex question.
It is a complex question.
I think it offers a lot more freedom and opportunity,
Right.
but there are new challenges
Yeah,
about work-life balance
for sure.
and, the potential for increased inequality
Yeah, it's really interesting because everyone is dealing with this in some way,
in some way. Yeah.
whether they work online or not.
Right.
It's a big shift.
Big shift.
We can't forget about online communities either.
No, absolutely.
It feels like the internet is allowing people to connect
Right.
based on their shared interests, regardless of where they live.
Well, think about platforms like Reddit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's incredible
It's pretty remarkable.
how it can create these niche communities
Yeah,
dedicated to everything,
absolutely everything.
from obscure hobbies to social causes.
I'm actually part of an online community
Oh, cool.
for people who collect vintage cameras.
Nice.
And we share tips. We do restoration projects together. We even have virtual meetups.
That's so fun.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool to connect with like-minded people.
Yeah, and a lot of these communities offer a sense of belonging,
I agree.
especially for people who might feel isolated in their offline lives.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So we've got global trade. We've got cultural exchange. We've got remote work.
Yeah.
We've got online communities. It feels like a lot of change in a very short amount of time.
It is.
And I'm wondering, what does this all mean for something like democracy?
Ooh, that's a great question.
It is.
The internet's impact on democracy and governance
Yeah.
is complicated.
Oh, I bet.
It has positive and negative aspects.
It's such a powerful tool.
It is a powerful tool.
On the one hand, it seems like it increases transparency and accountability.
For sure.
We have so much information now,
Uh-huh.
and it feels like we can hold institutions to a higher standard.
Absolutely. I mean, online activism and investigative journalism
Yeah.
have exposed corruption
Wow.
and human rights abuses all over the world.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, a great example is the Panama Papers leak in 2016.
Oh, yeah.
This massive amount of data was
Mhm.
shared online,
Wow.
revealing this global network of tax evasion and money laundering.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It led to investigations
Wow.
and resignations all over the globe.
That's fascinating. It seems like the internet can
Yeah.
empower people to challenge those in power.
Yes.
Social media seems to play a role in that too, amplifying these
Oh, huge.
grassroots movements,
Huge.
mobilizing people
Yeah.
for important causes.
Mhm.
What are some examples of that?
Well, the Arab Spring uprisings
Okay.
back in 2010 and 2011,
Right.
that's a really good example
Yeah.
where social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter
Right.
were crucial
Yeah.
in connecting activists and coordinating these protests.
It's remarkable how quickly information and people can be mobilized online.
It is amazing.
I participated in an online campaign to save a local library from being shut down.
How'd that go?
We used social media to rally support,
Nice.
gather signatures, and in the end, the library was saved.
Oh, that's a happy ending.
It was a happy ending.
Good.
But we can't ignore the downsides, right?
No, we can't.
What about cybersecurity threats?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It feels like every week there's a story about some company being hacked or some major data breach. It's kind of unsettling.
I know it's a legitimate concern.
Right.
And the more we rely on these digital systems, the higher the stakes become.
I agree.
The NotPetya ransomware attack
Oh, yeah.
back in 2017.
Yeah,
That's a really good example of how devastating these attacks can be.
for sure.
Crippled businesses all over the world, caused billions of dollars in damage.
Wow.
It's huge.
What about this idea of digital authoritarianism?
Yeah,
I've heard about some governments using the internet
right.
to monitor citizens, censor information, and suppress dissent.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of like a sci-fi movie.
It does.
Is that really happening?
It is a reality in some parts of the world, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, governments are using sophisticated systems for internet surveillance and censorship.
So they are kind of creating this
It's like a digital panopticon.
digital panopticon.
You're constantly being monitored.
That is scary.
It's a threat to freedom of expression and privacy, for sure.
What does that actually look like?
Well, a good example is the Great Firewall of China.
Okay. Yeah.
It's this incredibly complex system
Right.
that blocks access to a ton of websites
Wow.
and online services.
Okay.
Everything from social media platforms to news outlets,
Wow.
even human rights organizations.
That's crazy.
It is.
So it's not all sunshine and roses.
No.
It sounds like the internet can be used as a tool for oppression just as easily as it can be used for liberation.
Absolutely. It all comes down to how we use it
Right.
and the regulations we put in place.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And speaking of how we use it, how is the internet changing how we see ourselves?
That's so interesting that you say that because I was just thinking about
Yeah.
how important our online selves have become. It's like we
Oh.
create these digital personas
Plate.
on social media and present a
Right.
very carefully crafted version of ourselves.
Yeah.
Are we losing something in that performance?
It's a great question. I mean, the internet has definitely blurred the lines
I agree.
between our real and virtual selves.
For sure.
But on the one hand, it can be empowering to curate our online identities.
Right.
Yeah, it lets us connect with people who share our interests,
Right.
express ourselves creatively, and build communities.
So in a way, it allows us to explore different aspects of ourselves.
Exactly.
That we might not otherwise.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But then there's a downside.
Okay.
It can also lead to comparison,
Oh, for sure.
right? Where we constantly measure ourselves against these carefully curated online personas.
It's so easy to get caught up
Yeah.
in the highlight reel of other people's lives.
Totally. And forget that everyone is struggling
Right.
behind the scenes
It happens to all of us.
to some degree.
We need to be mindful of what we're consuming online.
Right.
And remember that social media often presents a very distorted view of reality.
Yeah,
So true.
absolutely.
And speaking of connections, the internet has completely transformed how we build relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Online friendships, dating apps, virtual collaborations,
Mhm.
it's all become so commonplace.
Totally. It's expanded the possibilities for human connection.
I met one of my closest friends through an online forum
Really?
for book lovers.
Yeah.
We started chatting about our favorite authors,
Right.
and we discovered we lived in the same city.
Wow.
And now we're inseparable.
Ah,
It's great.
I love that.
And online dating has become incredibly popular.
Oh, yeah.
I know several couples who met online
I do too.
who are now happily married.
Yeah,
It's like the internet has expanded the dating pool exponentially.
absolutely.
And we can't forget about professional collaborations.
No, we
How
can't.
the way we work together has
Right.
completely changed.
The internet has facilitated this rise of virtual teams and global collaborations.
And it's breaking down barriers in terms of education
Absolutely.
and self-improvement
Think about it. We have all this knowledge and all these tools
at our fingertips.
at our fingertips 24/7.
It's really incredible.
Yeah.
I recently took an online course on creative writing,
Oh, cool.
taught by a famous author.
Wow.
It was amazing, and without the internet, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
I've actually been using a language learning app to brush up on my Spanish.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's so
Oh,
helpful.
great.
It's been great.
It's like having a personal tutor, a library, and a gym
Yeah.
all rolled into one.
All in one.
We can take control of our learning and personal growth
Exactly.
in ways that we never could have before.
Yeah.
But with all these changes, we're also seeing a generational shift
Oh, yeah.
in how people interact with the world.
It's huge.
Fascinating.
Younger generations who've grown up with the internet,
Yeah.
they have these totally different norms and expectations,
Yeah.
right? They're digital natives.
Right?
They have a comfort with technology that previous generations just don't have. They connect with people online.
Yeah.
They consume information digitally. They embrace new technologies
Right.
so easily.
It's fascinating to watch it unfold.
It is.
But it can also be a little intimidating.
Right.
Like they speak a different language,
They kind of do.
and they're shaping the future of the internet
They are.
and ultimately the future of our world.
Absolutely. I think it's crucial that we as a society engage in these conversations about how to navigate all these changes
It's so important.
and make sure the internet continues to evolve
Yeah.
in a way that benefits all of us.
We've covered so much ground.
We have.
Globalization, democracy, identity, education. It's clear the internet is reshaping our world.
Yeah.
But as we move into the next part of our conversation,
Right.
we have to address the ethical dilemmas that
Right.
are coming up in the digital age.
Absolutely. We have to, because as the internet becomes more and more intertwined with our lives,
Yeah.
we're going to be facing even more complex ethical questions.
And these are questions that are going to shape the future of the internet
Exactly.
and the future of humanity.
And humanity itself.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
That is the big one.
That's what we have to think about. We've talked about how we got to where we are, but there's a lot of forks in the road ahead.
I know, it's true.
Like, where do we go from here?
Right.
And some of these paths lead to places where
Yeah.
the ethics of how we're using technology become really important.
You're right. We can't ignore the ethical considerations
Yeah.
that come with a world that is so connected online.
Right.
I think one of the biggest issues that comes to mind is data ownership and privacy.
Uh-huh.
It feels like every day
It really does.
there's a news story about a data breach or a company using our information in ways that we never agreed to.
It's true. And the current system really favors
Right?
large tech companies and governments
Yeah.
who are collecting vast amounts of data on us.
That's unsettling.
It is, and it raises these big questions about who owns our data, how it should be used,
Right.
and what rights individuals actually have.
I remember the Cambridge Analytica scandal
Oh, yeah.
a few years back.
Right.
That was a wake-up call for a lot of people,
Was, yeah.
showing how our data can be used and manipulated
Right.
in ways that we never imagined.
Absolutely. And these concerns are only going to grow
Right.
as artificial intelligence and data analytics become more sophisticated.
So how do we address this?
Well, we need stronger regulations
Okay.
to protect data privacy.
Okay.
We need more transparency from companies
Right.
about how our data is being used.
I agree.
And I think individuals need to be more aware
Yeah.
of the risks involved
Right.
when they share information online.
Maybe we need some kind of digital literacy boot camp.
That's a great idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Like something to help people navigate this new world
I love that.
where data is everywhere.
Yeah, education is key.
Education is key.
And speaking of access and empowerment, we can't forget about the digital divide.
Yeah, there's millions of people
Billions.
who still don't have access to the internet.
It's a huge problem, and it just makes existing inequalities even worse.
How do we bridge that gap?
Well, it takes a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
We need to invest in infrastructure,
Okay.
ensure affordable access,
Right.
and create digital literacy programs.
So it's not just about giving people access, it's about teaching them
Total.
how to use it effectively.
Yes,
Everyone deserves the opportunity
they do.
to benefit from the internet,
It should be a tool for empowerment.
not a source of division.
Exactly.
Okay, so with greater access comes greater responsibility.
Uh-huh.
So how do we balance freedom of expression
Right.
with the need to combat hate speech and misinformation?
That's the million-dollar question.
It feels like a constant struggle.
It is a delicate balance.
Right.
You know, we celebrate the internet as this platform for open dialogue,
Right.
but we've also seen how it can be used to spread harmful content.
It's a tough issue.
It is.
I believe in open dialogue,
Me too.
but I also think we need safeguards
Yes.
in place to protect people.
Absolutely.
How do we create an online space where everyone feels safe?
It requires a collaborative approach
Okay.
involving governments, tech companies, and individuals.
So it's not about censorship.
Right.
It's about creating a healthy environment,
Exactly.
a respectful online environment.
And as technology evolves,
yeah,
we face even more complex ethical questions,
we do.
especially with AI
Oh, yeah, artificial intelligence.
and automation.
It's becoming more and more integrated into our online experiences.
Yeah.
And while it has incredible potential,
Yeah.
it also raises concerns
Right.
about bias, accountability, and its impact on jobs.
AI taking over jobs is a big one.
It's something we have to think about.
I know it's both fascinating and a little frightening
I agree.
to think about how AI might reshape the future of work
We have to consider how to use AI for good.
and make sure the benefits are shared fairly
Yeah,
and that workers are protected.
right.
We need to invest in education retraining programs and social safety nets.
It's like we're preparing for a future where humans and machines work together.
Yeah,
But what about the ethical implications of AI itself?
right.
How do we make sure these systems are fair,
It's a crucial question.
unbiased?
AI systems are trained on these massive data sets.
Right.
And those data sets can reflect existing societal biases.
Oh, wow.
So we need to develop ethical guidelines for AI development.
It's not just about building machines. It's
Yeah.
about building a future.
It's about building a future.
And the decisions we make today will determine what that future looks like.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of responsibility,
It is.
but it's also really exciting.
It's exciting to be part of this conversation.
I agree.
As we look ahead
Yeah.
to the future of the internet,
Yes.
we have a say in shaping this digital landscape.
I like that we have the power to shape it.
We do.
It's not just shaping us.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's imagine what the internet might look like in the years to come.
Okay.
What are you excited about?
I'm really fascinated by this trend toward hyper-personalized experiences
Okay.
that are driven by AI.
Uh-huh.
Imagine a world where the internet knows what you need before you even ask.
That sounds amazing, but also a little creepy.
I know, a little bit, right?
How much personalization is too much?
That's the question.
Do we really want algorithms making all of our decisions?
It's about finding that balance
Right.
between convenience and control.
Right.
We want to make sure we keep control over our digital experiences.
Right. And speaking of taking control, what about this idea of a decentralized internet?
Oh, yeah.
I've been hearing a lot about blockchain
Yes.
and these peer-to-peer technologies that could shift power away from these big companies.
Exactly. The idea is to create a more distributed internet
Okay.
where users have more control
That sounds great.
over their data, their privacy, their online interactions.
I'm not that familiar with blockchain.
Yeah.
How does that actually work?
Think of it as like a digital ledger
Yeah.
that's shared across a network of computers.
Okay.
It's not controlled by a single entity.
Oh, okay.
So it's much harder to manipulate or censor information.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
Are there any examples of that?
Yeah, there are some really cool projects popping up.
Okay.
Platforms like Mastodon
Oh, yeah.
are experimenting with decentralized social media,
Okay.
and that's giving us an alternative to platforms like Twitter and Facebook.
I like it.
And then there are also projects exploring decentralized finance,
Oh, wow.
decentralized data storage.
It sounds like the internet's going through an identity crisis.
It kind of is.
Like it's trying to figure out what it wants to be when it grows up.
It's figuring it out.
With all these possibilities, it's easy to forget that access is still a major hurdle.
Absolutely.
Millions of people still don't have access.
Right.
Bridging this digital divide is so important
It's crucial.
for creating a more equitable future.
Yeah, for everyone.
What are we doing to close that gap?
Well, there are some ambitious projects, like satellite-based internet
Okay.
that are trying to connect the most remote corners of the globe.
That's incredible.
It is, if these projects are successful,
Yeah.
it could have a transformative impact.
Imagine a world
I know.
where everyone has access to all the opportunities that are available online.
It's a powerful vision.
It is.
But as we work towards that,
Yes.
we have to remember the human element.
Right.
It's our choices, our values, our actions
That will shape the future.
that shape the future of the internet.
What about these digital ethics movements that we're seeing?
I'm really encouraged by them.
Me too.
They're bringing people together.
Right.
Technologists, ethicists,
Well-
policymakers, everyday users.
It feels like we're starting to realize
Yeah,
that the internet is a reflection of us.
it is.
Our values, our flaws.
It's not just a technological artifact.
Right.
It's a reflection of our society.
So we need to take responsibility
We do.
for what we're creating.
We have to move beyond that technical mindset
Yeah.
and consider the social, ethical, and human implications.
It's about creating a digital world
Yes,
that aligns with our values.
I love that.
It sounds like we're talking about a future where technology serves humanity
Yes.
rather than the other way around.
That's the goal.
I like that a lot.
Me too.
And that's a future I want to be a part of.
Me too. The internet story isn't over,
No, it's just beginning.
and it's up to all of us
All of us.
to write the next chapter.
And we'll talk more about that
Yes.
when we come back.
And we're back for our final segment of this deep dive
Wow.
into the internet. It's been
It has been a journey
quite a journey.
from dial-up to today.
I know.
It's crazy how much things have changed
We've talked about its impact on everything.
on everything.
Globalization, democracy, our own sense of self.
Yeah, and it seems like with every step forward, there are new ethical challenges.
That's true. That pop up.
So as we kind of look ahead to the future of the internet,
Yeah.
what can we do to make sure
Yeah.
that it keeps evolving
Yeah.
in a way that benefits everybody?
It's a big question.
It is a big question.
It really requires all of us to work together.
I agree.
I think it's about being mindful
Yeah.
of the choices that we make,
Mm-hmm.
both individually and as a society.
Okay.
It's about demanding more transparency and accountability
Yeah.
from the people who hold power in this digital world.
Okay, so where do we even begin?
I think the first step is education.
Okay.
We need to learn about what's at stake.
Right.
The more we understand how the internet works,
Uh-huh.
the better decisions we can make.
It's like learning the rules of the game before you play.
Exactly.
So are there resources that we can use?
Oh, there are tons of resources.
To learn more about this stuff.
From books and articles to podcasts
Oh, of course.
and documentaries,
Right.
there are organizations dedicated to advocating for a more ethical internet.
So getting involved in those
Yeah, get involved.
could be a way to make a difference.
Absolutely.
So it's about being an informed and engaged citizen
Yes.
online.
Be a good digital citizen.
Okay.
Right.
What about things that we can do in our own lives?
I think start by looking at your own habits online.
Okay.
Are you thinking about the information that you're sharing?
Okay.
Are you supporting companies
Yeah.
that are doing things that align with your values?
Yeah.
Are you having respectful conversations online?
Right.
These all matter.
So it's like our actions have real-world consequences.
They do.
Every click, every share,
Everything.
every comment we make.
It all adds up.
Wow.
It shapes the digital world.
It's not just about consuming content.
Right.
It's about participating
It's about taking action.
and shaping the internet that we want to see.
And we also need to hold our elected officials accountable.
Yeah.
We have to encourage them
Yeah.
to make policies that protect our rights online
Right.
and promote a fairer internet.
So the internet serves everyone,
Everyone,
not just a few.
not just a select few.
Yeah.
So it's about universal access,
Uh-huh.
digital literacy,
Yeah.
and supporting technologies that are created
With ethics in mind.
with ethics in mind.
Yeah.
It's been a really fascinating conversation.
It has.
And we've talked a lot about the challenges,
Yeah.
but I want to end on a positive note
Okay.
because the internet can be an incredible force for good.
Oh, it
I
can the
know.
world.
It can connect people. It can empower people.
I agree.
It can drive positive change.
Absolutely. And it's up to us
It is up to us.
to use it for good.
That's right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for listening.
Thank you for joining us.
And we hope that this has inspired you
Yeah.
to think about the internet and its place in the world.
Think critically.
Because the future is not set in stone.
No,
It's really up to us.
It's a blank canvas.
It's a blank canvas.
just waiting to be painted.
And that is it for our deep dive into the internet.
Thanks again for listening.
We'll see you next time.